Hey everyone, today I'll be showing you how to use gamepads in GameMaker Studio. Okay, for this tutorial I've got two sprites, one called Sprite Player, and it's just a 32 by 32 circle, and one called Sprite Ground, and it's just a 32 by 32 square. Now the basic setup for this is a platformer, so all it is moving left, right, and jumping, but it will give you the right idea to kind of make more advanced things using the gamepad. If you don't know what I mean by gamepad, I'm in this case talking about an Xbox 360 controller. So if you have one of those for your Windows computer, then you'll be able to do that. I'm not sure if they work on a Mac. Okay, so in our object player, we have create, step, and ground. Collision with object ground. So we'll start off going through the create event. And here you can see we have our control map and platformer stats. So the control map is simply a series of variables that I've set up to hold each button on the Xbox control. So you can see here I've got GP, which stands for gamepad, and I've got A, B, X, and Y. So A is GP face 1, B is GP face 2, X is GP face 3, and Y is GP face 4. I then have my right bumper and left bumper, right trigger, left trigger, all the D-pad directions, and the select button and the start button. So yeah, it's all the main buttons on the gamepad, or to save to variables to make referencing them easier in the code. So I'll save this as a GMX file and upload it to Mediafire, and then link to that in the description. So then you can just get the code directly from that file or build off of it if you want. That is up to you. Okay, so those are all the controls, though. You can see how I've mapped those there. Okay, so then you have platformer stats, and these are just basic stats that I'm using to make the actual platformer. So I've got grav, which stands for gravity, equals 0.5, SPD stands for speed, equals 8, and JMP equals 10. Okay, so then the step event, that's where everything happens. So it's not a lot of code, it's a lot like creating a normal platformer game, except you're using different controls. Okay, so I've got the normal if place is free, x, y plus 1, gravity equals grav, else gravity equals 0. If you want an in-depth description of what that means, then check out my platformer tutorial. In this case, I'm just focusing on the controls. Okay, so then normally I'd have if keyboard check, blah blah blah, and then do all this extra stuff. But in this case, we're using the gamepad, so we're using if gamepad exists value. Oh, sorry, no, that's wrong. Alright, if gamepad access value 0 for our device number. So I think you can have up to 4 controllers connected at once. In this case, we're only using one device, so I've just set that to 0 for by default. So it'll be our first gamepad connected, and then GP axis LH. So GP axis is the toggles. In this case, we're using our left toggle, so it's GP axis L, and then H stands for horizontal. Okay, and then when using the gamepad axis values, the number will be arranged from -1 to 1. -1 being to the left, and 1 being to the right, and then 0 being when you're not moving it at all. Okay, so in this case, to make sure that it's all the way over, I'm not checking for 1, I'm checking for a value higher than 0.8. So when we move our toggle far enough to the right, our player will start moving right using the code in here, if place free x plus speed y, x plus equals speed. So yeah, I could just check for 1, but every now and then I found that GameMaker didn't pick up on it properly. So to make it more reliable, I'm just checking for a value higher than 0.8. Okay, so that's for moving right. It's pretty much the same thing for moving left, except instead of checking for a value higher than 0.8, we're checking for a value lower than minus 0.8. And then instead of our code being plus speed and plus equals speed, it's minus speed and minus equals speed, same as the normal platformer movement. Okay, so then for doing our jumping, instead of checking for space or up arrow key, we're doing if gamepad button check 0 for our controller number, so 0 is the first controller connected. Then GPA, which is a variable set in the create event, which I showed you before, and that's just the A button on the controller. And then the normal if place meeting, x, y plus 1, obj ground, v speed equals minus jump. This works for both wired and wireless controllers on Windows machines. But yeah, that is pretty much it. I'll just show you the collision code real quick. So it's just move contact solid, direction 12, v speed equals 0. And then my ground object is just got the sprite and set to solid. As I said, if you want a tutorial on how to make a platformer, I've got a tutorial on that. So yeah, go check that out. This is just for the Xbox controller. But yeah. So yeah, now if you set up a room, which I've already done here, I've got my player, ground, a couple platforms set up. Make sure you connect your controller. You can do this while the game's running, so you don't have to have the controller connected before you start the game. You can connect the controller when the game's already running. But yeah, just connect your controller, run the game. I'll do that now, and you'll see how it works. So yeah, I'll push my toggle to the right, I'll move right, push to the left, I'll move left, and when I hit A, I jump. Now obviously you can't see this because I'm recording the screen. Okay, so yeah, if you want to get that set up, then just connect your controller, run your game, and it should work. If you get any errors or have any questions like that, just leave a comment. If you have any tutorial requests, send me a message either via YouTube or through the Facebook page, which is linked to in the description below. I hope this helped you out, and see you guys next time.